Hey everyone, and welcome to our little video series about the development of a new game. My name is Kieran, and with me is Morrissey.
Hello.
Although I say with me, in reality Morrissey is the main lead of this project, I would say.
So that's probably correct, I guess.
Yeah.
And also I'm not with you in the same room or in the same space. I'm like 800 kilometers away or something, so...
You're with me in spirit,
yes.
I think.
We are together thanks to the powers of technology.
Absolutely.
Alright, so we have been working on this little game for about 2 weeks, maybe even a single week. And we have decided it's time to show you what we have been working on and talk a little bit about the game itself, about the process of development we have decided on, the tools we use, and how this game is actually being kind of almost open source, in the sense that you can see the code yourself. We probably should start with what this video is going to be. I guess that's what I just said, and who we are in general. So I'll start because I have more experience, so I have the longer beard. Actually, I have a beard and you don't, right? So
Yes.
I win.
Yeah.
So I've been a programmer for over a decade. I've been making games for almost twice as long, although I have very rarely worked on a huge game. If you're watching this video, you probably know who I am. That's probably the truth. And we have met with Kieran on the Drod community, and it's time for you to say something about yourself.
So my name is Kieran Miller. I have not been programming anywhere nearly as long as Morrissey. I actually only started earlier this year officially, so I've been programming for like 8 months on a web application for a company, not a game. In terms of making game stuff, I sort of self-taught myself programming and I used like Game Maker, things like that, and basic JavaScript to make some web games, and never really finished any.
That's okay. I also worked with Game Maker a lot and didn't finish most of the things I made. So
yeah, so I know Morrissey from the Drod community. That's Deadly Rooms of Death. It's a puzzle game, very old. Lots of it's sort of been going for about 20 years now. It's very good. Check it out if you haven't. Anyway, so we know each other from there, and we were talking, and we both sort of wanted to make a game, and well, here we are.
Yep, and also I just took a note to include the link to Drod in the video description, so if you're curious, you'll see that's where you should look. And actually, it was you who gave the idea for this game, right?
Yeah, we were talking about games, and I'd come up with an idea. So in Drod, there are these things that we call time clones, and what they do, you step on a token, it starts recording your moves from that point, and then at some point you reset, and you go back to the point when you push the token, and now there's a second copy of you playing back all of the moves that you just did. And I had an idea. I was just messing around with like basic JavaScript idle games, those sort of games where you watch numbers go up and don't really always necessarily do very much.
Those are the best.
Yeah, and I thought, what about idle game but with time clones? And then we were like, what about a proper game but with time clones? And then here we are. So yeah.
Actually, that's how it happened. Just in a very simplified version.
Yeah.
So, as you can guess, this game is going to be about time clones, and if you have been doing anything other than listening to our voices, maybe looking at the screen, you could see that while Kieran was talking, I just kept moving around a little bit, and you can see my player being the white @ symbol,
yeah.
And are these blue? I think these are blue. The blue ones repeating my moves that I've done before I restarted. And this is going to be the core of the game, essentially. Make some recordings, make things happen, then maybe go back and change one recording to do something else.
Yeah, we're not really sure at the moment exactly how this is going to work. We've got the recording of time clones. We have basic ideas, but I think the actual the game itself will be there will be a lot of possibly prototyping on finding out what exactly works.
Yeah, there was this one great word I once again forgot. Can you remember the type of design? Yeah. Okay. Let's not waste time. Just basically the idea is that we don't have very solid idea, like Kieran said, and we will be trying to figure out what works best as we go on. So I can't showcase any kind of puzzle in the actual engine because what you have seen so far has been pretty much all of it. But the base, there's a lot of code powering it. Okay, so yeah. But the general idea is that you'll have like a player, some space. Maybe we have some arrow and a button. Yep, nice button. So you have this box and a door. Yeah, this button opens this door. So a simple puzzle would be something like move the player. Okay, I when I'm stressed I can't use paint. So you have the player move all the way to the right, push the button onto the button, but now the player is stuck on the arrow because you can't move backwards. But that's okay. So you end the recording, go back to the start, you let your first recording do the pushing, and the second one just can go out. Voila. And this is a very, very simple puzzle. Something more complicated could involve, let's see, a player and a box that has to be moved by the first recording to a certain place, then another recording has to move it somewhere into a different place, and then you could potentially take a third recording and move it again, or go back to the first recording and, knowing what the second one did, continue moving to move the box again. You know, stacking changes like that, or discovering the interactions in a stage. That's at least one aspect that we are considering, because as we said, at the moment we are just not completely sure what will work best.
Yeah, so Drod itself, there's a couple of things that it does. I guess you play the game yourself if you'd like to know. How closely we will stick to how they work in Drod, we don't know. This is an opportunity in a way to make our own thing and not really be tied to the constraints of how it works in Drod as well.
So another possible interaction, I'll just go with this one because I remembered it, is you could have an enemy in the game that moves towards the players and kills them. And yeah, you made a recording, it attacks it's a roach, by the way. It attacks the roach, but because the roach is super big and super strong, it just eats the player and you failed. But then another recording, another projection, another clone goes and attacks the roach exactly at the same time. And suddenly 2 people is enough, to swap the places and kill the roach. So that's a kind of interaction that may be possible. You can also replace the roach with a door, and maybe you need multiple people to force the door open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's lots of room for things. I guess the original idea started from... it was like a dungeon crawler, but when you get killed by an enemy, you reset the dungeon, and now there's 2 of you, and then you keep going. But that's sort of its roots. But where it goes, who knows where it will go?
Maybe we'll go back to it.
Sorry.
Maybe we'll go back to the idea of a dungeon crawler and end up making a roguelike. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. Should we move on? Obviously, there's a lot there that we don't know yet. I was wondering if we should move on to talk about the development itself and the technology.
Okay, I don't know why this happens, but for some reason, I think the live reload just times out and crashes. I don't know. I'm just going to reload. So there's one more thing in the engine that has been implemented so far. It is the ability to, once you have a couple of recordings going, you can switch to a different screen and remove them. And this officially is the full list of all the possibilities you currently can do, all of the things you can currently do in the game. So not a lot, but we have a lot of code powering it up. So there's a lot to build on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's one example of like a benefit over Drod. In Drod, if you make a mistake in a recording, you've got to potentially go back like multiple recording steps.
Yes.
In this game, you can just probably delete an individual one and then just record it again.
Yep.
Like depending on how the game develops, but that's the current plan. So.
Yeah. Like we want to, we will probably want to avoid forcing the player to fight with the UI, the interface, just to get something done. Like have Undo allow them to change things as much as possible, because the puzzle shouldn't be about repeating the same sequence of moves over and over again, just changing one single variable because you have to find the magic sequence, but rather a more high-level puzzle, I think. Actually, I just came up with this on the spot. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. I think it's also, I guess, useful that we have Drod as an example of one implementation of this type of thing, and I think it gives us ways to think like, hey, the UI is not brilliant because it fits within the framework of another existing game.
Yes.
What if we changed it to make it a game solely about it, and what would we do? And not restrict.
And also,
improve it. So.
I don't remember when you started playing Drod. Was it already when TSS was released?
I think it might have been just before TSS came
Yeah, because
out,
when
actually.
I started playing Drod, it was only the Architects Edition available, so that version of the game had no undo. If you made a mistake, you had to restart either back to the beginning of the stage or to some checkpoint in the middle of the stage. And if you wanted to get to the exact same point, you had to repeat the exact same set of moves again. And then the next game came out, and there was a single level of undo. Then sometime later, I made the Flash port of the game, which had 3 levels of undo. And then the second Sky came out, the latest game in the series, which has unlimited undo. And I had the pleasure, I guess, of having the experience of going through all of those stages of undo and seeing how well certain ones work and how it affects the level design of the game, because that's probably something that could, you could write a book about it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I did play like the City Beneath when it was like 1 undo level and stuff, played it in like the original engine back then.
Yeah.
Like I did start with I guess I started with Architects Edition, but it was really Gunthrow, I think, was like the main intro, or for me, I think. Probably, yeah. But yeah, I guess actually, let's not go in too much about Drod. Let's focus on the game.
Yeah. So you have probably noticed this chronic temporal title here. It's super temporary, which is something I came up on the spot because I needed a name for the code repository. And
we should call it chronic temporary then.
Yeah. You should have told me that earlier. Okay, can I change it quickly? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do it right now. No, too late. So we use GitHub for storing our code. So this is officially, we are moving away from the game design part to the technical aspect. So if you don't care about the technical, there probably isn't going to be anything interesting for you in the video, but if you're curious, stay with us. We are entertaining people, I hope. So our process of development is we use Git and GitHub for the storing the code. When one of us wants to make a change, in the case it's more like implement a new feature, we create a branch. So this is the code. I use IntelliJ. Kieran uses VS Code, right?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. IntelliJ is also great, okay? Just stop judging me.
I've never used it. I'm sure it's fine. I just happen to use VS Code at work for web stuff. Before, I've only ever really used that and Notepad for web development. So.
Oh yeah, I remember using Notepad for creating the HTML websites back when CSS was a new thing. I guess it wasn't a new thing, it was a new thing for me.
So I say I've been up in programming long. I did do like basic website stuff many years ago, but dabbled in basic things.
I feel like a lot of people try it, and most of them just never move forward. But I remember how proud I was of myself when I knew I am able to write a website, just a notepad, just knowing all of the tags. You have to have the HTML tag and the body tag, and I was like 14 years old back then. Good times. So anyway, we use branches. You can see a couple of branches which Kieran already deleted on the remote repository. So I create a branch, do the changes, and we use almost a Git flow, but I don't remember exactly what Git flow was about. So let's just say we make pull requests, and the other party reviews them.
Yep. So lots of comments, as you can see on the side there. We've all criticised each other's code.
Yeah, very critical about each other's code. Like, blood is coming out. I guess because of my experience, it's more of a case that a lot of the comments on my PRs are you asking questions why I did something, and a lot of comments on your PRs are me telling you that something might be not the best way to approach it. I hope I don't come off as a too strict person, or
No, it's very good. Actually,
okay,
I learn a lot. It's great to have someone. I guess you're the senior programmer in this project.
No, I'm the architect. I'm the senior architect, manager, CEO of this company. No, it's
and I'm the intern.
CTO. Yeah.
The apprentice.
Yeah. So you can see for yourself how the comments look in those PRs, because everything is public. Like, at the moment, we don't have anything that's not publicly available about this project. And about how it's open source, we'll get back to it a little bit later. And this, I think, is all about the process, right? I don't think we have anything else we could cover.
At the moment, it's solely this is the process. I guess to say we use Discord for chatting to each other, which is just what we used anyway originally. So
yeah, and we communicate a lot on Discord, right? So I guess that part of the development of this project is private. Sorry, but anything important is online. Yeah.
I mean, we have an issue where we're discussing like a basic game thing, but really, Discord's a lot easier for doing. And you can just pop in and talk over voice at any time as well, if you need to go into something a bit more complex. So,
I agree. Okay, so going by the notes we have taken right before recording this video, the next part is tools and technology. So I think I pretty much told you what technology we are going to use, and you didn't complain. So I assume that means you agree.
I use TypeScript at work.
That's a spoiler. I didn't manage to say we are using TypeScript. Come on. Whole recording out. No. I quit.
Okay, so I'll be quiet.
No. Now it's you continuing.
Okay, so that's fine. So Morrissey was like, "Oh, we're using TypeScript and Pixie.js," and I was like, "Great!" And there we go. So I have no idea what Pixie is. Morrissey's done all of the graphical end of the coding so far.
Yeah, that's true.
We also use a couple of packages that you wrote yourself, right? Is that?
I guess, yeah. There are like one of them so far. There's some code in src.common which will be extracted into their own packages in the future, but that's something I'm working on in parallel. But this is not the space for me to brag about my coding abilities.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it fairly common to make games in TypeScript on the web? I'm not sure.
I don't think it's very common to make games in Pixie generally. I mean, I'm looking at like all of the indie scene, right? I think most of the games are made in Unity, in Game Maker, and possibly in Multimedia Fusion, which is called differently now, but I don't remember its current name. But I think most of the games are made in those tools specifically designed for game development, and it's only the weirdos that code their own engines or interact with code as much as I like to do. So, sorry, you're one of the weird ones now. There are, right. I think Pixie is more popular for mobile, because then when you make a game in JavaScript, you can have it run both on iOS and Android devices without a problem. And then you kind of also get for free ability to play it on web, because, you know, Pixie is a web technology. Imagine that. So probably not that many people are making games in this technology stack as we are using, but that's still not a very small number. Like, I feel like a lot of people who want to make serious code switches from pure JavaScript to either TypeScript or ReasonML or something else that gives them stronger typing, some kind of compilation checking, you know, better static code analysis so that they know they are not making something stupid. Because in pure JS you can just very easily hang yourself with a lot of rope.
Yeah, pure JavaScript's pretty wild. Like, I've made some stuff in pure JavaScript, and it lets you do basically anything you want. Like, almost like you can create all sorts of horrible nonsense, and it's just like, it's fine. And then suddenly it stops working. And you have no idea why. Like,
yeah, because in this one place you made a typo, which, you know, you can't find because you are using JavaScript, so there's no compilation, no static checking, no nothing. So good luck.
Oh yeah, that's happened to me before. So why is this not working? There was a typo somewhere, but it just thought, you've just created a new variable suddenly, you know, and assigned it. Like, so yeah. And
that's
things
why
pass by reference here and there when suddenly it's like, you know, so all of a sudden I'm actually changing something else to what I thought I was, you know, so it's,
Yep, I used to code a lot with pure JavaScript back in the day when I was working on websites and doing jQuery a lot, and that was horrible. But of course I'm not trying to say you can't write good code in JavaScript, I personally want to stay away from it.
Yeah. I like creating all of my data inside an array where everything is a custom object, and that object has variable properties, and sometimes in one of them it's a method, and in the other time, you know, with a lambda function, another time it's just like a pure string.
Isn't that like, what you did in one of your idle games?
No, the RPG one, Cool Quest. That's what I did. Like, it's like, this item's description needs to update with the player's name.
Right,
so now it's a function instead of a string. You know, it's like, no problem, right? Like, JavaScript don't care. Yeah.
JavaScript just accepts you the way you are.
Yeah.
So that's what we use: TypeScript for the code itself, Pixie for the rendering, for WebGL. I use IntelliJ for coding. Kieran uses VS Code. We use Webpack for bundling everything together. Basically, it's I guess it's not compiler because TypeScript is the compiler, but it's like the wrapper for the compiler. If you don't know what Webpack does, it's
it sounds like you don't know either.
I'm trying to find the best way to explain it. It's a tool that does everything if you want it to, and we use it for compiling, for running the compilation and moving assets around, essentially. There's like the Webpack config.js. So what it does is this is the entry point, so it starts with compiling Bootstrap TS. It has a couple of plugins to do various things. No idea what this does. This creates the template website, or the template HTML file, so that when we compile everything and we open the website, it actually shows something instead of an error message or pure JS code. Next is no idea why this is there and why it's commented out. Nope. Hot module replacement plugin. I think this is the live reloader, so if you make any change while the server is up, it will just refresh the page, and this is what has caused the issue before, I think. Or maybe I changed something somewhere, I don't know. I don't care. So these are the rules. So, oops. What Webpack does is it goes through all of the files that are... I think it goes to the bootstrap TS, and then it looks at the files it includes. So it looks like, okay, so this is the Pixie.js library in Node modules, do something with it. This is the constants file, and then it goes into the file, and it once again looks for all of the imports in there. And then it collects all of the files that were imported, and then does something with them. And these are the rules that say what it does. Like, if the file is TS or TSX, it uses the TS loader to compile it. And if it's some other type of file, it just copies it. And if it's something else, not covered by this or this, I have absolutely no idea what it does. Like, Webpack is this black box for me. I used it in my previous job, and I couldn't understand it at all. I think the documentation was much worse. Maybe it's better now, but the way I explained it, this is how I understand it works. So I hope I'm correct. So yeah, Webpack, great.
I don't know what to say.
It's essentially, I'm just going to go to Webpack's website and show you what they say.
All I know is I've used Angular at work, and it's like when you run it and compile it, if you make any changes, it straight away tries to recompile as soon as you save the file.
Yeah. So Webpack is a module bundler. It says it in the Google search results. Module bundler. This is it. Its main purpose is to bundle JavaScript files for usage in a browser. It is also capable of transforming, bundling, or packaging.
Packaging.
Okay. Something. 3 dots. Yeah. So if you have used Webpack before, you probably know what it does. If you haven't used Webpack before, you probably need it. So do your own work, because I guess I completely failed at explaining it. Sorry. I was not prepared. And okay, let's move from Webpack to the next point.
Yeah.
Because do you want to talk about it?
I'm happy to do so. Yeah. So something very interesting about this. Unit tests. We have a very... It's not quite test-driven development, but we are very unit test heavy in the development of this game. So I know that I guess for a lot of people, do you really do unit tests when developing a game? I have no idea, but probably not.
No. So generally, my experience with talking to people about unit tests or testing, automated testing in games, is that you can't test for fun. It is one of the most common arguments I have heard. I agree, you can't test for fun, but besides being fun, games are also a lot of technical code that should work. And this is what we are testing, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's to make sure that the code in the back end. So something that was interesting, I thought, you saw us moving around the player and doing the recordings. That wasn't really wired up at the start,
yes.
But we were able to still start developing the things related to that. And it was interesting that even though we couldn't actually play the game, we had very high confidence that what we were writing was actually going to work. And that is because we have quite a lot of tests that were very, pretty good, I guess, at making sure that the code is doing exactly what we imagine it will be doing. And then it turns out that it was, in fact, doing what we thought it was doing once we got it all up and running. So it's pretty cool, I think.
Mm-hmm. So to showcase, this is a example, very simple test. It runs for every action the player can do, which is at the moment move in 8 directions and wait. These are the actions the player can do so far. And what it does is, for every action I have just enumerated, it creates a stage. It's like the same type of stage that's used when I played the game in the browser just a moment ago, except stripped of the the visual layer and tells it to execute those actions, and then at the end of the execution, which in this case is a single action, it checks the post conditions. So in this specific case, it verifies that the player has indeed moved as many times as expected. This does the same, except it does 2 actions. So besides testing that player can move twice, it also kind of tests the architecture of being able to run multiple actions, because maybe after the first action the game would be in a state that it couldn't work. So it's a almost end-to-end test. It's not truly end-to-end, because a true end-to-end test would in this case include the visual layer, like the opening the browser, inputting the moves, and so on. But in the context of the game logic module, it's testing it from the starting point to the end point without checking anything in between. And another test to verify that we can't move outside the room boundaries.
Yeah, so we're slowly building up, obviously, all the tests as we do the testing as we create the various things. So
Yes.
everything is basically covered. I guess our coverage is quite high, I suppose, on this test.
I could later
really
install a module, a package that will verify how high it is. But yeah, probably it's very high.
Yeah, but I think it's worth doing, actually.
Okay. I take it out to do it.
I meant unit tests in general, rather than the code coverage thing. But sorry, I was talking more to the audience. Yeah, unit testing. It's been. I've done unit testing at work, but it's interesting to see it from a game perspective, actually.
So in this specific case, we are able to do a lot of testing, because the way the game works lends itself very easily to testing. It's turn-based, it's grid-based, so it's input some moves and expect it works a certain way. There's also not going to be any randomization, so we don't have to take that into consideration at all. So you just set up a stage, make some moves, verify that it worked the way it intended.
That's true, yes. I guess the underlying structure of the game is very rigid and simple, I suppose, which lends itself to that. I guess if you were trying to test your Skyrim, Far Cry sort of games, they would probably be
you
very
probably
hard
wouldn't
to
be making
test.
tests on that level, but there would be still a lot of things you could test. Just probably not relating to the visuals or the logic of the high level logic of the game.
Yeah.
But we have
because
tests.
that's true. We do focus the tests purely on the game logic and not the visuals and stuff, I guess. Or we haven't yet, but we haven't really done much with the visuals, I suppose.
Yep. And I don't think we'll be doing any real testing for the visuals.
Yeah.
Because
Or
you can't program for fun, right? I mean, you can't test for fun, and actually we might have some small tests for some more complicated behaviors in the visual layer. I don't know. We'll see if it will be needed. Maybe we will be getting a lot of regressions, so we will need to just make sure that this specific thing works as intended. But since the logic of the game is completely separate from the presentation, we can just easily create this box, test it, and verify that it worked as intended. And that would be probably all about the tools and technology. If you are more interested about the way we structure the code, you can go to the repository, which I should also include a link in the description, and take a look yourself.
Yeah, so the code is, you say it's licensed. I can't remember if you talked about the license.
So the repository is public, so you can make a fork, check it out, do whatever you want on that level. But the code is licensed under Creative Commons, non-commercial, and attribution required. Yeah, so you can make your own game on top of our game, and that's okay, as long as you don't make any money from it, and you credit us.
Yes.
So I think that it might be changing in the future. Like, I would like to release the source of the game, the source code of the game, as more like mid-license, so you can pretty much do anything you want with it. And then the assets themselves and the in the levels in the campaign would be, private completely, like privately owned by us, not available in any way outside the official binary build of the game. But that's speculation.
I guess sort of like the original Doom engine, in a way that all the game assets are copyrighted and you can't do anything with it, but the actual engine is there and available to play with for people. But if you want to make money from it, you would have to, in their case, id Tech 1 or something, you have to license it from them. I think even nowadays, even though no one would ever consider making something in that anymore.
Whoops, my internet just died for a moment and I lost Kieran, so I removed a short fragment of the recording where I just talked to myself and was wondering what is happening, and let's pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, I was talking to myself as well, so I just thought you were a very good listener. Yeah, but no, you weren't. You can't remember any of it. You're a terrible listener, I think. Yeah.
Men in Black came and they used that weird thing. So I think we have actually covered everything we wanted in this video. So
I can't think of anything. I guess internet's died at exactly the right time.
Almost.
I was just trying to give a hint.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, because of the internet dying, I checked the length of the video, and wow, we planned like 10 to 20 minutes of recording. So, not sure if I should treat it as a success or a failure.
It's turning into a podcast rather than a
maybe it's a better idea.
Yeah.
So, the last thing I wanted to say is that you won't be seeing this video until we have recorded another episode. So if you see this video, it means we have one more episode coming. But we make no guarantees that we'll record anything beyond that, because it's still very early in the project. But we're having fun so far. So.
Exactly. We'll wing it and see. When we've got interesting stuff to talk about, I guess, for the video, we'll make one. And you can follow on. Join us in our fun of making a game and see where it progresses, because we haven't got a clue where it's going. So,
and if you have any great ideas about how this game should work, remember that we want them very much.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, I always worry that a lot of creators are always like, oh, I don't know, shouldn't really be listening to fan ideas. But we're not going to sue you. Or, well, it's more, are you going to sue us, I guess.
Yeah, and also, if you give us ideas, they are ours. Like, you give us the rights for those ideas. I'm pointing a finger at my screen. I hope you can feel me doing that, because I'm very serious.
You can edit in some little picture of someone pointing their finger.
I could draw a finger here, but I worry that will look like something else. So 3, 4, 5.
So if it looks like that, you should visit the doctor. No,
I'm pointing a finger at you. Remember, any ideas submit to us is ours. Don't sue us.
It's the second finger and not the middle one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Also, the middle one is like weirdly shaped. Actually, if you rotate it, I think it looks like almost a face, like a shark, maybe.
I guess so. Yeah, he's pursing his lips. He's going to kiss you. No, that's his nose, and then he's got his 2 lips on the next to it, and he's got a sticking out, protruding chin as well, and his eye is really far back. Yeah.
So this was us recording a video about the game. Thank you for watching, listening, and leave a comment and like, and subscribe, something like that. I heard you are obligated to say it at the end of the video to be popular.
Yeah, exactly. If we're putting it on YouTube, we're basically contractually
pretty
have
much
to say that, I guess. Yeah. Cool. Right. See ya.
See ya.